Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I have to apologise a little bit for the darkened video this evening, but I'm in a motor at the moment that's not mine, and I wanted to record this just to prove a couple of points. You see, a few weeks back, probably a couple of weeks actually, I attended a meeting at the local council, all to do with the vehicle ages of private hire vehicles within my area. And what they're looking at is introducing a policy by which anything that is older than 7 years old, when you introduce it for licensing, they won't license it. So it has to be a minimum of, maximum really is 7 years old. And then once it's on, they will then allow it to be used up until it's 10 years old. That's the policy. There was a overview and scrutiny meeting on the 18th of November, and I spoke at that meeting. And just to let you see what's happening, this is exactly what I said.
Mr. Gifford to address the panel.
Thank you, Chair, members, fellow operators. My name is Andrew Gifford. I've been a licensed private hire driver in Thanet for almost 15 years. I drive an 11-year-old Ford Tornado minibus, fully compliant, regularly MOT'd and depended on by families and tourists. I support cleaner air, but this proposed 7-year age limit with only a 2-year transition imposed in weeks will destroy livelihoods, mine included, and risks being unlawful. English common law protects my right to earn a living in a lawful trade. The courts are clear. No one can arbitrarily prevent me from doing so. Nunn versus Southern Railway, 1891. You can regulate, but only proportionately, and where the public benefit clearly outweighs the harm. 3 questions. Is forcing hundreds of us to scrap roadworthy vehicles overnight at £20,000 plus each proportionate, especially when Thanet has some of the lowest fares in the country? This isn't gradual improvement, it's economic eviction. 2, where is the published impact assessment showing how many drivers will quit, how many businesses will close, and how taxi shortages will push people back into private cars, actually increasing emissions? 3, why ignore natural wastage, the fair, lawful, proven alternative? Let new vehicles meet Euro 6 and let existing safe, compliant vehicles continue until normal replacement or retirement. Councils like Hindburn and North Kesteven have done exactly that, successfully and legally. The DFT's own statutory standards demand policies that are evidence-based, proportionate and developed in proper consultation with the trade. You've consulted, but have you listened? A sudden 7-year cliff edge is unreasonable and risks breaching common law, the human rights and your own guidance. A 5-year phased transition with grandfathering for existing compliant vehicles is reasonable, lawful and still delivers your environmental aims without breaking livelihoods. I built my business from nothing. I serve this community every day. Please, pause this rollout. Publish the full impact assessment. Adopt natural wastage and a proper extended transition. If you don't, this won't just be bad policy, it will be an unlawful interference with our ancient right to work. Thank you.
So you can see I laid out the case for a normal taxi driver. I laid out exactly what would happen, the consequences and how the law applies. Common law, my right to work, it's very simple. And at that meeting, one of the councillors actually agreed with me. Have a listen to this.
Questions for the officer? He decided he doesn't want to.
Thank you, Chair. I think I want to reiterate what Mr. Gifford's just said, because something puzzles me about this. Age of vehicle is quite important, obviously, or was back in the days where a 5-year-old car had its wings flapping and hanging off. We'll remember the day. Well, actually, most of you won't remember the days of smiley cars and their yellow Mark III called Tina's, because you weren't here. However, Thanet relies on its cab trade, and with 2 MOTs in a year and the visuals, why is it necessary to put any age limit on a vehicle? Because if it passes its MOT and it passes its emissions test, it's up to scratch. So I'm afraid I disagree with any form with modern technology. When I drove, and I'm going back 30 years, we had vehicles that needed to be regularly assessed. Nowadays, many 20-year-old vehicles visually look as good as when they were new, and if their running gear and emissions are being checked on the MOTs, given what's been suggested about the legality of this, I think we need to look very closely at a few revisions here and make it fair on the driver. You know, we've got, here we are banging away saying that we want to create jobs, and we're trying to destroy jobs at this rate. Or put the fares up so much to pay for this initiative that no one will use them, and the end result again is loss of jobs. So I'm afraid I agree with Mr. Gifford and agree most vociferously on that I think this needs a lot more looking at, and perhaps some common sense involved. Thank you.
So what you have in a situation, and the guy got where I was coming from, you will end up with a lot of cab drivers who effectively will be out of work because they can't afford to replace their vehicles with what they have on the new regime. And as a result of that meeting, I was told there'd be a moratorium on cabs, on the age of cabs. There certainly was. On the 27th of this month, there was a committee meeting at the local council, and they decided, despite what was actually said in that meeting by me, by another gentleman and the councillor, that they were just going to roll ahead and get on with it anyway. And one of the excuses they were using was the fact that they were worried about the regional coming together of different councils, mergers, and they were more worried about policy than they were about real life implications of their decisions on everyday working cab drivers like me. Just to show you something that's really daft, okay, and I'm sitting in this very vehicle I'm in just to emphasise the point. Have a look at this. Now, I'm actually sitting in the passenger seat of a 2015 Renault Scenic. My wife is getting a new car, and it's not quite ready yet, so the gentleman at the local garage has been kind enough to lend us this. But I thought it really proves the point that I'm trying to make here. I mean, you can see, you know, the interior is absolutely immaculate. There's nothing wrong with it, and it's got decent amount of space all round and very comfortable. Now, the other thing to consider with this taxi as well is that it's 10 years old. So even though it's immaculate and it's only got 14,000 miles on the clock, it'd be no good as a taxi, even though from what you've just seen and the way it drives, it's absolutely perfect. It is an absolute crazy policy that's going to put a hell of a lot of blokes in a hell of a lot of trouble. This council need to listen. Now, I've filed an official objection with the council, and here it is here. And I've also sent this to the Private Hire Trade magazine, my local newspaper, the local MP, whether that'll do any good anyway, and the chairman of the local scrutiny committee. So we'll just have to see what happens. But absolutely nuts. I know I've had feedback from other cab drivers telling me that you've had this similar trouble in your area, all in the name of environment and policy and all the rest of it. And it's a joke. It's almost like they deliberately want to down or kill the taxi industry in their areas. It really is not a good situation. Anyway, I'm going to go back indoors, have a cup of tea. Thanks everyone for your support as always. Please, if you haven't done so already, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, share my stuff, and I'll see you soon. Toodaloo.